The Democratic Republic of Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi on Monday appointed the head of the state mining company Sama Lukonde Kyenge as the new prime minister, capping a series of victories for Tshisekedi over his once dominant predecessor Joseph Kabila. Analysts see the appointment of Lukonde as Director General of Jeka Mines and an ally of President as paving the way for Tshisekedi to install a more loyal cabinet to push through his agenda. In recent months, Tshisekedi has chipped away at the influence of former President Joseph Kabila, with whom he had formed an awkward power-sharing deal after a disputed 2018 election. Sylvestre Ilunkamba, a close confidant of Kabila, resigned as Prime Minister on January the 28th after a vote of no confidence by the Democratic Republic of Congo's parliament. Well, to give us a little bit more sense of how this appointment affects the current politics in the DRC and going forward, we're now joined via Skype by Aime Zonveni, who's an editor of the Kinshasa Times. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. Always good to talk to you, mon frère.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So, again, Felix Tshisekedi asserting his power, it seems, by these appointments.
Yes, indeed, and that should be the last major move that he makes after regaining control of the constitutional courts and then the legislative with both the lower and the upper houses. And now we have him regaining control of the executive, which now allows him leeway, a lot more liberty to push forward his program.
What do we know about Sama Lukonde Kyenge?
Until his appointment a couple of days ago, he has been not very much known actually in the political circle, or in the fact that he was MP, pretty much young when he was 29. Then he moved on to be Minister of the Youth, and he resigned in 2015 when President Kabila was eyeing a third term, and he disagreed with President Kabila and therefore left the then political majority, and then went on to be appointed head or MD of DRC's largest state-owned mining company known as Jeka Mines. Now, his appointment seems to be to send a signal in the fact that even though President Tshisekedi is distancing himself from former President Kabila, this does not mean that he is sidelining the part of the country where President Kabila hails from, which is Katanga, and Kyenge hails from Katanga. And also he is young, so this seems to give, also send another signal to the 80% of the youth the DRC population is composed of, that now change is happening. And so it sends many signals and also demonstrates that President Tshisekedi now wants to make sure that his agenda is pushed forward and is implemented.
All right. What does that mean for former President Kabila?
Well, I think now this is the last, I would even say it's like the last, if I may say, a nail in the coffin, in the sense that this was the last piece of control that President Kabila still had, which was the executive, but with the resignation, forced resignation of Ilunkamba, this gives President Tshisekedi all the freedom, as I've said, much leeway to take forward his agenda, which he is mostly focused on the essential reforms to consolidate democracy and the tackling insecurity in Eastern DRC.
Mr. Kabila still enjoyed some degree of power and influence in Parliament. Is that still the case, or have his former partners fled?
No, unfortunately, I don't think that is the case, because the new parliament majority is 80% in favor of President Tshisekedi, because we're talking about nearly 391 MPs out of the 500 composing the parliament who have decided to join the Sacred Union, or the Union Sacrée de la Nation, which is the new political platform supporting Tshisekedi. And these MPs are behind the vision that Tshisekedi has outlined, and many have left the previous FCC, or the Common Front for the Nation, which was the political platform they used to belong to, and which was led by President Kabila. That is an indication that now they have the majority in parliament has switched sides, and that is even the reason why Tshisekedi was able to freely appoint Jean-Michel Lukonde.
What is the role of the Prime Minister? When you have an executive president, what does a Prime Minister do?
In the DRC's constitution, it is the Prime Minister who is accountable before Parliament of the program of the government, which means he is the one who's going to lead on that program. He is the one who's going to be held accountable if the deliverables of the program are not achieved. So the Prime Minister, especially if he hails from the same political side as the President, will play a very decisive role in helping the President operationalize or implement his vision. So he plays a very key role.
All right. So, and it comes with real power then?
It does come with real power, even though in the political system in the DRC, the executive is formed both with the Prime Minister and the President. The President will set forth the vision, indicate the direction that the country will be going towards, and it is the duty or the task of the Prime Minister to implement that vision or translate it into concrete actions.
Has former President Kabila responded, commented in any way to what is happening in the country? Because he does, as you say, seem to be completely marginalized now.
He hasn't expressed any views since all these changes, since all these stronghold of controls he had have been falling away from him one after the other. He has been very silent, and he retreated into one of his farms not far from Lubumbashi. Some say that it's for him to gauge the situation and maybe strategize for a comeback, but he has not expressed any views with regard to what is happening. It matters will be the fact that he has always thought that change should happen, and he concurs with everything that is happening. That also is another possible explanation.
And going forward, does this look like President Tshisekedi is really now setting himself up for even the next election, consolidating his power? Because there are some people who say that he didn't genuinely win the last election anyway.
Yes, that rumor still lingers, that he never won the elections in 2018. But the fact is, his president has been recognized as such by his peers from the African Union and many other countries around the globe. I think the biggest challenge for President Tshisekedi now will be to try and take advantage of the remaining time he has in office now, which is less than practically just 3 years. He has, with the previous coalition, wasted 2 years into his 5-year term. So I think the time is ripe for him to get busy, really, and deliver on some of the promises he made during his electoral campaign, because come 2023, he will be evaluated, he will be judged on the basis of the deliverables that he will have achieved for the remaining time he has in office, now that he has better control of the apparatus of the state, both in the legislative, in the executive, and in the judiciary. So this makes him even more accountable to deliver.
All right. Even with Joseph Kabila out of the picture, are there no people within the People's Party for Reconstruction and Democracy that might come through? Because This party did have a following at one stage.
It did have a following, but mostly because President Kabila was still in power. In DRC, mostly, we do not have right-wing or left-wing ideologies in a very clear-cut Western fashion. Here, it's mostly the president of the day that tends to have the largest support group behind him. This is what we are witnessing with Tshisekedi, even though from the elections, he did not win any clear majority in parliament. But the fact that he is president has nonetheless helped him to reconfigure or to rebuild that majority. So it is very shifting in the DRC, not based on ideologies etched in stone, but mostly depending on who is the president of the day.
All right, so this appointment likely to be received by most people in DRC?
Yes, indeed, it has been welcomed by many people. You know that the DRC, population of the DRC is 80% very young. So many people, just by the simple fact that this is a young prime minister, only 43 years old, as opposed to outgoing professor in Lukamba, this alone has given hope to the majority of the people. And it seems to have a political track record that does not seem to be dented with scandal or any other inappropriate activity. So this is raising hope. But I think the bottom line is that we will have to see how he delivers, how he puts together his cabinet, and really how he makes good on the promises that he has made. Because when he came out of this appointment with the President Kabila, Tshisekedi instead, he said, my first and most important concern or our objective will be to restore peace in Eastern DRC and also initiate the necessary reforms that will pave the way for proper elections in 2023. Just among some of the critical things he has said, we will have to judge him on how he delivers on these things.